Okay, we're going to call this Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting to order here on April 17th, 2025. We are going to have an update with regard to the Northampton County Parks and Recreation Department. I know Brian is here to give us an update. We are going to be going through a few different agenda items, discussion regarding Conifer Garden donation, a discussion regarding a tree donation, as well as some other general updates as well. So, Brian, feel free if you would like to, or Mr. County Executive, I know you were here as well. I'm sorry, courtesy of the floor. Sorry. Yeah, I'll get there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, for years now, I've been talking about Northampton County's future being green, but I really think it's time to start talking about its future being green and its future being present, because we're doing so much good work in preserving farmland, open space, and the thing that I am most proud of, environmentally sensitive land, because that was always the most difficult land to preserve historically through our program. But just, I want to share this with you tonight because I think it's important. We are announcing that the Highlands Conservation Act Grant Award to permanently protect approximately 43 acres of open space within the borough of Stockertown has been awarded to Northampton County. The Highlands region spans 3.4 million acres in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. The iconic Highlands landscape is distinguished by Appalachian mountain ridges, hills, and plateaus, deciduous and coniferous forests, streams, lakes, and working farms. Under the Highlands Conservation Act, the Highlands Conservation Act Grant Program was founded to conserve natural resources in the region and sustain key landscapes for the benefit of people and wildlife. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Office of Conservation, USFWS, Investment administers the Highlands Conservation Act Grant Program, HCA. Projects supported by the HCA Grant Program preserve land of high conservation value, fulfilling the Act's conservation objectives of clean water, healthy forests, thriving wildlife populations, agriculture, and recreation opportunities. Competitive funding is distributed in the ranking of individual projects submitted by the states, consistent with the Highlands Conservation Act's conservation goals. PA Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR, in partnership with Northampton County, submitted a proposal for the county's land acquisition of 43 acres, more or less. The grant award of $730,000 is the first competitive funding award in Pennsylvania this year. Northampton County will need to match the funding for fee simple acquisition of approximately $1.4 million. This project will conserve critical landscapes within the two-county region, fulfilling a core goal in the Commonwealth's Lehigh Valley Greenways Conservation Landscape. Lehigh Valley Greenways Conservation Landscape is a proactive partnership to regional landscape conservation in Lehigh and Northampton counties. Northampton County conserves critical landscapes, restores degraded habitats and buffered stream corridors, and promotes best management practices as core goals. The Bushkill Creek watershed includes the regional Two Rivers Trailway, which aligns with the September 11th National Memorial Trail, connecting people to greenway and trail opportunities to promote the region's green assets. This acquisition is a major step in improving trail access in the region, and I am excited for the expanded recreational opportunities it will provide for the public. This is a quote from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Secretary Cindy Adams Dunn. She goes on to say, not only does the addition of the property help the Commonwealth close a key trail gap in the Two Rivers Trailway in Northampton County, it helps the Lehigh Valley Greenways Conservation Landscape expand the Link Trail Network and its work to build a world-class trail system within the Delaware-Lehigh National Heritage Corridor. In the past decade, we have experienced in Northampton County exponential growth in large-scale warehouse and logistics development, eliminating open space and farmland here. It's been at a record pace, unfortunately. Our acquisition protects the land from development and conserves the agricultural and environmentally sensitive habitat and trail connection in the Bushkill Creek watershed. We are honored to be the recipient of this prestigious grant award, and our staff in the Division of Parks and Recreation will continue to work in partnership with DCNR and USFWS to conserve critical open space in Northampton County. And I can't thank Secretary Cindy Adams Dunn enough, she has paid tremendous amount of attention to Northampton County and the Lehigh Valley. And one of the reasons not only our future is green, but our present is green is because of Secretary Dunn Adams. This acquisition will add to the 2,380 acres of green space of parks, trails, and open space areas owned by the County of Northampton and managed by the Department of Public Works, Division of Parks and Recreation. It will permanently protect wildlife habitat, environmentally sensitive species, and implements best management practices for agricultural use, trails, and floodplain restoration. The HCA Grant Award helps the county continue open space preservation to support clean water, healthy forests, and wildlife, agriculture, and abundant outdoor recreation to enhance Northampton County's livable landscape. And to conclude, I must thank Brian Cope, who has done tireless work for years and years here at Northampton County to make sure we preserve as much open space and environmentally sensitive land as we possibly can. And I don't think she's here, but I also have to thank Sherry Acevedo. No one works more tirelessly on behalf of the people of Northampton County and the preservation of open green space and environmentally sensitive land than Sherry Acevedo does. It's a real asset to us in this fight for the green future. So thank you for your time, Council. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive, and just want to also publicly thank the Secretary as well for her dedication. This is a fantastic conservation grant and initiative that's really going to do a lot of good stuff here for the county. So thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, well, moving along with the agenda, Mr. Cope, if you'd like to come up here, I guess we're going to start with the discussion regarding a conifer garden donation.
Yes, good evening. So in the packet that you all have, on the left-hand side, there's 3 different papers, and it's probably the easiest to go through that as more of an explanation visually than trying to explain it just through words. So in Louismore Park on the west side, it's the majority of where our arboretum exists. As you come in past Pavilion 4, it would be on your left-hand side. We just put in a sensory garden that's still being finalized. But then there's a surrounding area just to the south of that has white pines and some other areas, small terrain change. We're looking at doing a conifer garden in there that would help enhance the overall arboretum of Louismore Park. If you flip to the next page, we have a conceptual design of what that may look like. Very minimal walking paths, one in between the existing paths, some areas of seating. But the site family, would like to donate over 150 plants, conifer plants, 80 different species. And to go through those different species, I could take a long time, but there's been a synopsis from one of the professors out at Penn State Berks that's helping this project. He's out there helping tag them, and his expertise has been critical to getting this to where it is today. He mentions that these are some of the most valuable ones that he's ever seen, and putting them in a public park situation would greatly enhance both the park, but also educational opportunities that his students would have, but also many members of the public in general. So that's what the resolution for the conifer garden donation is. Like I said, there's 150 plants. We're roughly estimated at around, I think this one was over $5,100. So pretty significant investment in a unique feature that will help enhance Louismore Park here.
Do you mind, Mr. Cope, if I ask, and maybe you don't know the answer, Mr. or Mrs. Sipe making this donation, do you know why they do?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear these type of stories about, why
Sure.
folks want to take their money to invest in some of the great natural resources we have here at the county.
So Mr. and Mrs. Sipe are in their late 80s, early 90s. Mr. Sipe's been a farmer in western Lehigh County for decades, if not even further back. He started cultivating these different conifers through just kind of, I guess, his own will. So he started collecting these and moving them around in his yard. It's become an issue where his age is not allowing these to go, and the efforts of those decades of putting these types of trees together would be a lot better suited in a public park situation like we have here.
It's fantastic.
And
it really
if
is.
if you don't know, their daughter is Emily Swackhammer, who spent decades with Penn State Extension as their vector control. She's been very instrumental in training our staff as parks over the years. So it's her family that is donating this. So it's a great win for all of us.
Publicly want to thank them,
Sure.
thank their family for their dedication to the county over so many years, for sure. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Cope, the pictures that you're showing here, are they from his property? And is that what they're trying to, are they transplanting what he currently has, or are they donating all new?
We're transplanting from his property, 150 species.
these are
No,
pictures
these are examples of what they would look like in different arboretums, Haverford, some others down in the Philadelphia region. This is what we're striving to have as the look. So we hired a consultant to kind of tie this together conceptually, what it would look like. We didn't just want to go put them in an area. So creating the seating spaces, the walkways, and these areas of these conifer gardens, and small shrubs, large trees, different colors. So it's going to be a unique experience all 4 seasons of the year.
Very cool. And all the walkways would be just like a stone or like a natural?
Yep. Yeah, the center one will be more of a concrete, which asphalt that goes to each side is asphalt right now. But the other ones are either grass or stone.
Gravel, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. Any other questions? Mr. Giovanni, you have any questions? No? Okay. All right, well, moving on with our discussion regarding a tree donation here. We have a resolution here, $4,500 for 100 trees.
Yep. So in anticipation of Arbor Day, Erie Insurance is turning 100 as a company, 100 years, their anniversary. The local chapter is right on Ray Street and Willowbrook Road, just about a half mile up the road from Wayne Grove Park. So they reached out to us directly, and they wanted to plant their donated 100 trees within our park. We found out late in the game that they need to provide that to donate it to a nonprofit. So they're going to be passing it through Wildlands to be planted on Wayne Grove in our park. And this is a exact area where we've done riparian buffer plantings, agroforestry, nut plants, and this is where those trees will be planted in the park as well. So it'll just be an addition of an area that we've been working in.
Are there any renderings yet of this, or?
Here you go. That's about as good as I can
Okay.
get with those, yeah.
It's great, wow. Insurance company helping us out, huh?
I don't know if they were listening to our last meeting where we were talking about planting trees, but
I'll
this is
take it.
great.
I'll take it, for sure. Any questions for Mr. Cope with regard to the tree planting and donation?
Fantastic stuff, though.
It is. Yep. All right, well, moving on with the discussion here. General update here from your department, sir.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've been in front of you all, and just wanted to give you an update of kind of where we stand now that we're in the spring and we're out of winter. Upcoming projects that have been working on since 2023, and just an overall kind of overview of what our department does. Okay, so about us, we're 4 administrative staff, including myself. We have 15 15 full-time maintenance employees, and then we have roughly 12 to 15 seasonal employees that help us out. We're not just really a park and rec department. We do environmental education through our partnerships with Wildlands and a host of other organizations. Partnerships and affiliations, we have probably over 50 that we deal with annually on a daily or weekly basis. Environmental restoration is one of our largest, probably, park improvements that we do. I see our niche as a county park system between state parks, which are large forests, large camping, large lakes and things like that, and our municipal areas that have the tennis and soccer and youth sports and stuff like that. We don't get into that as a county park system. Ours is a lot of ag, forest, and waterways, and how can we incorporate those things, mainly through passive recreation areas and a lot of environmental restoration. And with that, education is a critical component of all of this, either working with youth, such as pre-K events during the summer through Wildlands that we have, working directly with our local high schools. So example, Wayne Grove Park, Caddy High School is literally across the street. We do stuff with their biology and chemistry department, but their gym class uses the park for walks. So it gets them out and they go walk in those areas. We do other things with Freedom, the tree gardens or tree guards that you see at Louise Moore Park. Instead of just using chicken wire in a nice park setting like that, we worked with Bethlehem Votech, their welding department, and we made brand new tree guards for there. We've worked with Bangor, we've worked with Penn Argyl, everywhere, and either through ourselves or through our partners, we're able to get those out. But we also do high-value, critical research, especially in the Mincy Lake area. We work with any college, literally from the University of Delaware with our, not our bluebird, Purple Martins. Those little guys about the size of tree swallows go all the way down to South America every year. So it's kind of like the Monarch program, but for birds. We work with them, Cornell, and the Audubon Society to tag them. We have our unique color, and we have probably one of the largest concentrations of those birds in the entire valley right now. We do chickadee research. There's different turtle research with Lehigh, Lafayette, Moravian. All of the colleges directly here in the valley and outside, as close as East Stroudsburg, as far away as North Dakota State. So we have a valuable resource in our environment, in our park system, and we use that to help provide research for our educational opportunities here. So as I mentioned, environmental restoration here. We've done climate resilient landscapes, really replanting native plants and things like this, getting rid of turf in areas, cutting down on maintenance and things like that. Dam removal is something that we've helped fund tremendously through our Livable Landscapes grants. We just opened up the Bushkill Stream here in Easton for the first time really in probably 100 and 200 years to the Delaware River. There's one or two more to open up the entire Bushkill. We've done dam removals on the Monocacy, done major restoration on the Ohiotan and others throughout the county here. Riparian buffer plantings, we've been doing this probably for ages now. DCNR has set standard funding for these types of projects, either through mini grants through Lehigh Valley Greenways or through their larger pot of pool. But this is something that we also fund and do in our park system as well.
Brian, can you explain why removing those old dams are beneficial? I know a lot of people wonder, like, well, why'd they build them in the first place? Why are we taking them out?
So, I mean, they were extremely useful when they were being used as mills for getting ready for the industrial age. They were the farmers' energy with mills and things like that. Now, if you look at it, you have, sometimes it's a mile backwater of stagnant water, legacy sediment that could be 6 feet deep of warm water in a cold creek. So where you have panfish that shouldn't be in a creek setting, you have it there. The flood mitigation compared to moving the dam out of the creek, we saw this directly here with the one in Easton. The stream itself dropped about 6 to 8 feet. That carries that much more load in flooding events. So all of that sediment came out. Eventually it washes down the river, down out to the shore. But having gravel streams, better flowing water creates higher oxygen. The colder water is better for the native trout, and maybe shad will start coming up this way as well. So the environmental benefits of having a lot of those things taken out from a dam that's been non-existent for its utilization, it's kind of run its course. So,
Thank you.
sure. And stream bank restoration. The top two, or those two pictures there, are actually at Gertrude Fox, right in the city of Bethlehem. It's one of the properties that we own. Instead of just throwing big shot rock on the stream like we've done, we reached out to some of our partners and kind of came up with an innovative way where it's more a tiered system. So as it floods, it raises and stops and raises and stops. This is on a steep embankment, and there's apartments right behind it. So we wanted to plant it with some native shrubs, some native grasses to keep it a little bit more aesthetic for those people that have the apartments when they're overlooking the Monocacy Creek right there. So some of our cooperative projects that we've done, this one I really like, our Bluebird program. We reach out to families where they do monitoring on our bluebirds. We have over 60 boxes right now. Well, they're monitoring them. They look in the inside to make sure the nests are clean for the bluebirds. They see the eggs, they see them hatch, and all that information goes to the Audubon Society and Cornell, and they put that into their large thing. But it's getting the families out with their kids and things like that. We see these people walking through our parks like that. And then we've done some restoration and projects up in the Mincy corridor. Barred owl, we put about 6 of those up. And in the past 3 years, we've had fledglings for every single one of those boxes, and they were pretty astonished that we got that because they've put them out in other areas and they don't have them. So it just shows the quality of the environment that we have in our park system here. We have a live stake nursery to kind of go back to the riparian buffer plantings. A lot of these are cut twigs from these types of shrubs that we plant anyway, and they can go directly into a mud bank on a stream. They'll take root and grow. So it saves us and our partners a lot of time and as well, especially money. But we started this with the Conservation District up at the Greystone building, and it's still there today. We have a couple rows, so that's what you see as you go into Greystone there. And then our cover crop program, as you'll see, we have a lot of acreage of ag in our county park system. And we started this a few years back because we want to provide our best management practices, not only environmental, our farm or forest areas and our waterways, but we also want to be a leader in agricultural BMPs. And providing a winter cover crop on these types of fields helps soil erosion, retention, and overall soil quality. So we've been doing that for the past few years with cooperative farmers that we have. Education events anywhere, like I said, from taught youth to older and more research. We're also leaders with Lehigh Valley Greenways. Lehigh Valley Greenways started, it was the first conservation landscape in the Commonwealth, and it started right here really looking at connecting Easton to the Appalachian Trail along the Bushkill. That was the first area that it was carved out for, and it's grown to be both counties now, but now there's 8 different conservation landscapes within the entire Commonwealth. And the link, this is our trail network. So if you ever want to get out and check out a trail, you can go to the link.com. It has all of our regional trails in there. And it helps promote all of those trails where the trailhead locations are, trailheads, all of those types of things. Kind of a one-stop shop for all of that information. And I talked about environmental research. So our Livable Landscape program, through our grants, you guys are pretty aware of what we've been doing here. So for the past few years, especially our municipal grants, our environmental grants, we just closed our grant round for 2025. We should have those to you probably around June timeframe for to look those over. Our components pretty much stayed the same over the last few years for our municipal park. But this is another avenue that we have to help promote our local municipalities, do some things that we can't or on property that we can. So when we talk about environmental restoration, but we also provide those funds for athletics or other things that we as a county park system don't really do. Through land conservation, as you heard, our county executive mentioned our newest acquisition that's in process right now, 43 acres in Stockertown Borough, through the Highlands Conservation Act. We've been able to preserve over 337, I need to update the slide, But just in the past few years, we've been able to add to our county park 4 new preservation areas, parks. And this really goes to the front of combating warehouse development, all of the other types of development in the area, and kind of preserving that quality of life that we all grew up with or moved here for. So there's always a balance, and we're trying to find that balance of putting those greenways under protective for the rest of the time. So I mentioned we have over 650 acres of farmland, of ag field, active. We have 200 acres of recreation, so like our pavilions, our tennis courts, pickleball courts, our walking trails. So you can see we don't really have a very high active park system. It is more of our passive park, and that's one area that I'm looking, how do we incorporate and develop those things for more recreation use, but still blend and honor the environmental sensitivity of most of these areas that we've been doing. And a lot of the stuff that you're going to see is kind of that way of what we've been doing. So we've worked with the Youth Corps through PA Youth Corps. They're led by someone that's probably just out of college or just in, and they have high school students that come with them. They're normally based in a couple spots throughout the Commonwealth. This group helped us last year with maintenance of our Hershey Nursery at Louise Moore Park. We work with the Game Commission to do prescribed burns in our meadow areas because that is the most effective way of taking care of invasives. And it promotes better natural growth in our native plants. And then you can see that that's a picture of, on the bottom right, of our stream restoration at Gertie Fox, and the Bethlehem Tech students around one of the cages in the top right. So I talked about the Game Commission, and I know I talked to you guys prior to about with the lease that we've had with the Game Commission to get our wildlife cooperative program started. It was a 25-year lease. Most of our properties are in this, and with that there had to be a give, which was to allow hunting in these areas. I would say the majority of those are all archery only. But the benefit of getting the funds and the expertise, equipment, and manpower from the Game Commission to do some major restoration work on our properties has already started this year, and I'll get into that. But this shows all of the properties that are enrolled. We have over 1,700 acres in that area, and some of the benefits of it. They have funding, private funding, that goes directly to the Game Commission that we're not privy to, so we can get those types of funds for our environmental restoration, access for hunting, invasive controls, and things like that. We get their security, so their COs, their conservation officers, are able to go on our lands and enforce their laws, but also the county's rules and regs. The majority of our properties are in state police areas. We don't have park rangers, so we rely on third, second-hand people out there most of the time. And then the increase in the health and of the benefits of it, and long-term public access for these properties. So I want to touch on one aspect of all of that, and that's grasslands and meadows. And starting this year, we're going to be doing converting over 125 acres to native meadows and grassland within our park system. Now that's extremely forward thinking. No one's really doing that type of meadow restoration on that level. This is converting turf grass, so we're going to be cutting down on grass cutting, which allow us to do other projects, build trails, maintain our parks a little bit better. But also our biggest avenue for this is going to be, we're going to be doing an 85-acre restoration project with the Gulf Farm Preserve. So 85 contiguous acres of meadow in the valley. It'll be one of the largest areas in the valley for this. It's just south of the Kittatinny Ridge. It's surrounded by farmland, preserved farmland. And this is one of the areas why I wanted to touch on this, because the Gulf Farm has been farmed, but it has master site plan that's been done. We're going to open up trails. We're going to put a parking lot in there, maybe community gardens, but it's going to add as another trailhead to the Plainfield Township Trail, which on 191, if you've ever driven past it, is pretty full most of the time. So with this of restoration work for the meadows, it's going to add an extremely environmental benefit, but also an aesthetic value as you're walking that trail. Yeah, so we had the Game Commission up there. They started to do some stormwater management on our property already, putting hay bales and cutting swales in for our BMPs on our ag fields and things like that. And then in the fall, they're going to be doing our native planting. So that's going to be one of the best examples of a native meadow restoration area that we'll have here.
Is this project going to be done in the fall then at that point, or
It will be
what's the
planted.
timeframe?
So
Okay.
it'll be planted. The construction of like the parking lot and things like that, we're working through land development with the township. Once that goes going, we have a DCNR grant for $300,000 to do that, which we have to match. But there's money in hand to do the construction of the parking and all of those things. The Game Commission's doing everything else on the property, including long-term maintenance. So when I call it trails or maintenance roads on this top property where we can get trails through, they call it fire breaks. So it's a benefit for us both.
So it may not be done till next year, perhaps?
We might not see the full benefit of the meadow restoration for
Couple
3
years.
to 5 years.
3 to 5, okay.
So when we did some of the meadow restoration at Louisemore, the 7-acre plot that we're doing behind our farmhouse, where our office is, behind the pond, we're going to have to mow that all year for about 6 to 8 inches to keep the weeds down and then let the natives root. The first year they go down before they come back up. We've worked with the Game Commission to get any of these properties that have farm, if we're going to change them over, we'll let the farmer go through their last rotation of soybean because they can drill seed directly through that. It's a little bit tougher for corn with some of the pesticide that they may use or the stubble that's left over. So the golf farm was a perfect example of we can get this going right then and there. As the crow flies, it's just east of Jacobsburg, and it's just south of the Kittatinny Ridge. So as a migration area and everything else, it's a great opportunity. And the way I've always talked to people is I kind of call it like the beehive effect. So you have preserved farmland all around the golf farm, and you have the beehive in the middle. So that your beehive is your most conducive area for integrating different things, your pollinators, your birds, your wildlife, and all of that. Then they can go out and help pollinate naturally all of those surrounding lands. So you might have one area where it's going to be more diverse, but it won't be farmed, but it should help out these areas. And I want to look at these areas as regional landscapes, not just a parcel that we call a park. Because in perpetuity, the birds, bees, and everything else don't know if they're landing here or there and what they're on. So if we create these areas of preserve, refuge, whatever you want to call it, it promotes, hopefully, the diversity and pollination of everything and helps out our farmers that are adjacent to us as well. So I want to go through a couple of our parks and some of our ones that will really have most of our construction or restoration work on. I want to start with Louisemore Park. This was at our entrance. It's been done for about 2 years now. We took out the old asphalt swale. It wasn't the greatest site coming into the park before it was an arboretum, and we put in a bioswale. So during the summer, it has a ton of color. You get the pollinators in there. It's a lot more attractive, but it also benefits the water quality and the stormwater mitigation a lot more than just funneling it through asphalt. As I mentioned, we had the arboretum dedicated last year of Louisemore Park. When Louise was donating the park originally to the county, she worked with a engineer or a landscape architect out of Philadelphia, and the goal was to have different types of tree species from around the world. She had a plot for Asia, South America, North America, Africa. She didn't obtain that entire goal, but we definitely have a 80 plus species around. And as I've brought in different arborists or professors, they were pretty much astounded by the size and the quality of these types of trees. So we definitely have something that's worth showing off. In your pamphlet, we have our fold out of most of the parks that we have, but also this arboretum one, so you can take a little bit more in depth of what that looks like. Up in the Mincy corridor, we've been able to get DCNR grants, but also county funding to really revamp this project area. We first started with an overall conceptual plan, a master site plan. We wanted to not just look at a master site plan of either recreation or how do we fix it environmentally. So we combined both of those. We looked at that because there was areas of trail that should not be going through existing areas where there's high quality sensitive species. We should not put people in those areas anymore. So we're making them go in other ways. We looked at the management of both recreation and the land itself. So we have a good amount of work out of this plan that we can use for forest management, for native meadow restoration, invasive control, but also improving accessibility, boating opportunities, hunting. And through the work of the Friends of Mincy Lake years ago now, 5 years ago, I believe, they were able to raise over $100,000 for what you'll never see. But if you're a fisherman, you're going to love it. They put $100,000 worth of improvements under the water as the fishing boat were working on the dam. And that's just something tremendous that the local people, grants that they were able to get, sportsmen's clubs and such, provided those donations that were able to make that work. But we put new restrooms up there. The old ones were from the 70s, boarded up with a toilet seat on a hole. Now we have a lot. They're really nice renovated pit toilets. But it's a better place for these. All new walkways that are asphalt, ADA accessibility everywhere, next to a bench overlooking water. And there's some plans to extend that into the woods, a lot more permitting involved, so we've kind of switched to Bear Swamp now, where we were awarded a $550,000 grant through LWCF Land and Water Conservation Fund for major improvements up here. If you've ever been there, you've walked the boardwalk that was first built in the 70s with Youth Corps kids. It was renovated with some boards and some shorings up in the 90s, and today it's really not in great shape. If you get back there, some of the slope of some of the boards are might put you in the drink at times, but otherwise it needs an upgrade, as many of our facilities do. So that'll be one of the things that grant will cover. Plus also we'll be relocating one of the trails across from where the archery range is and putting better crossings, boardwalk crossings through the power line easement that goes through there. We've been doing some heavy restoration work with the Phragmites that's in that area to kind of control that. We've planted new native seeds in that area too, so hopefully that'll take within the next year or two as well. With this, you can see the Bob Emilio is in the wheelchair. He was with LV Sill for a long time, and he was also a member of the Pennsylvania Trails Committee. Local guy, gets us out. He does kayaking. He's part of the Lehigh Valley River Runners. They use our facility at Mincy Lake with 3 others in the area. So once again, a unique thing that we provide access to all, for everyone that wants to try to get out. But that boardwalk will be accessible for him and anyone else in the future. The archery, let me just touch on, I can't go back, okay. The archery range was one of these projects funded through our Game Commission lease agreement, through the Wildlife Habitat Improvement. We're able to get that. They're gonna redo the parking lot there. They're gonna put a 12 target brand new archery range, and they're gonna flip it. When we were up there with them, instead of shooting into the woods from the road, looking down, it'll be more parallel with the road, with a buffer on this side. So safety and security wise, we'll be able to see the parking lot and the archery range as their COs drive by, or state police, or whoever else. That will be done, should be done, I will say, by the end of June. Their fiscal year runs July 1st to June 30th. They have the funding this year to do this one and the one at Wing Group. So it's another benefit of what this whole lease agreement, the Wildlife Cooperative Program that we've had with them is showing us already. Up in the northern part of the Mincy Lake Greenway corridor, Institute Drive has been closed since early April now. But it's one of our, it's one of our largest, it is the largest concentration of vernal pools, and you've probably heard me and many others say this, within the Commonwealth. We took this idea from the National Park when they closed down River Road in the park. During migration season, this time of the year, cool nights, rainy, wet nights, we have hundreds of amphibians, salamanders, frogs that are crossing this road. It's kind of a dead-end road, not dead-end, but it's a very minimally used road most of the year. So with the help of the township, they close it down for us. And we have pop-up events when it's a nice, rainy, wettish, warmish, 50-degree night, that we take headlamps and take public up there and walk around and show them what's around. So it's just a cool little thing that we do up there. And then here's some of the scientific research programs that we've done. As I've mentioned, a whole host of different colleges, organizations, state, federal. So we're really proud of the work that we're doing, documenting it, and educating the public with what these projects are. Wayne Grube Park, this is what our first slide was. We hold all types of education events, as I mentioned, from pre-K up to the our adjacent Caddy High School kids, riparian buffer plantings. We've had a host of volunteer groups come out and do that with us. The site's over 200 acres, majority of it's ag, and this is where our ag component comes into. This is some Class A, great soil. We still want to farm the majority of this area. It's a great location. FedEx is just south of here, the largest warehouse on the East Coast here. So to keep this ag component, this forest component, I think is essential to keeping some type of what this place used to look like in an area that's being developed all around it. When this was bought in the early 2000s, Caddy High School wasn't there. The apartments to the north were not there. All the warehouses to the south were definitely not there. It was a lot more rural. So this is just a little bit of a preserve the history and the land that this is. But this is a diagram of what the archery complexes will look like, both at Wayne Grube and at Bear Swamp. And like I said, hopefully by the end of June, they'll both be up and running for everyone to use. I mentioned the golf farm. This is the view from the very top, which we hope to get some trails in there blazed at least by the late summer, fall, so we can have public up there and enjoying the walk for this view. Otherwise, it was straight corn, soybean, or sorghum, and wasn't accessible for the public to get to these places. So this is why we're doing that in these types of areas. You could see all the way down to Bethlehem, Nazareth, and all the way up to the ridge from this high point. So as I mentioned, we had a master site plan to go over what this place would, how it would develop. We put a lot of public input into it. The trail connection to the Plainfield Township Trail is definitely one of the high-ranking ones, but also the preservation of the land, keeping it how it is, keeping that rural feel with it in the middle of Plainfield Township. So that's the top right corner is the most development that we will have in that area, which is a parking lot, community garden area, maybe a bathroom, and maybe a pavilion. But an area where we could bring school kids to that could go walk down to the Little Bushkill. They could go out into the meadows. We could work with our partners as another educational facility for environmental research and such. And this is the area, what it looks like right now. So C is the higher point of Gall Farm. B is the low where Gall Road runs down. And the Little Bushkill dissects both of it with steep slope right in between there. So that'll be 85 acres of native meadow restoration, which I'm really excited about. And other current projects, the Wyatuck project that we have DCNR funding for, the restroom was purchased. We're working on delivery, which should be middle to late September. And we just got the bids in for the construction of that, so that should come your way in a little bit. We also are going to update the walkways that are there. Some were stone, some were not ADA accessible. We want to make sure those are all compliant as the funding and any of our upgrades that we're doing are. The Norbath Trail, we're working through permitting, design, and engineering to finally get this to connect to Bath after more than 25 years now. We have a two-phase that we're going to look at. The existing phase that goes from Jacksonville Road to Keystone Cement, we'll look at redoing that first and then get through some of the permits, DEP permits to get through to Mill Street, which is right next to the SOAR plant in Bath. And then Bath has plans to connect up to Kiff Cowling Park. So it's another great connection into a historic downtown area and into their park for their residents to use this, which will connect to the DNL. So if you live in Bath in a couple months or half a year, you can go all the way up to, you can go to Wilkes-Barre or, geez, down to almost outside of Philly on a bike or walking or whatever you want to do. So these trails are really starting to come together. They're starting to make some long-distance interconnections, and it should promote economic development through recreation. This is something that we just started, well, we started it last year with the Wellness Committee. We called them Superintendent Saturday Hikes. I didn't want to keep calling them that, so we called them Wellness Walks. We sat down, we hit pretty much every corner of the county, and it's not just county property. So we wanted to do trails and county parks to show off. We've done the Norbath, that's a picture of Columcille, which was our last one that we just did. Our next one's on the 26th of April. We're gonna do the Plainfield Township Trail. Little early, we start at 8 o'clock, but hey, it gets our day done and we get a good walk in. We've averaged anywhere from 12 to 28 people. So we have a good group that comes out. Hopefully you guys can come out for that. But it's just one more way to help promote what we have, to show off these locations to everyone that might not know what they have. And even some of our county staff didn't know, especially Columcille. They were really excited about that one. So that's all I have. If we have any questions or anything.
Fantastic work that you and
Thank you.
that you and department are doing. My gosh. I had a question for you. It's very, very general, and perhaps it's something we can talk about, outside the confines of this committee. You mentioned the Bluebird and the monitoring
Yep.
that is done. Obviously, there is some sort of technology to do that type of monitoring. I'm wondering, as we're moving forward, when it comes to conservation, when it comes to looking at our land, our waterways, like what type of technology are we using as we're really moving forward to make sure that our land is preserved the best that it can be, our waterways are preserved as best they can be? And again, I know this is a very general.
Sure.
I'm somebody who uses technology constantly. A lot of us, of course, do in the course of our daily lives, and it's something that I'm always interested in when it comes to tech and how that is being implemented when it comes to our natural environment and natural resources.
There's a lot of things that we don't use that we know our partners are doing, but more in state park or federal parks and things like that, that we just don't have the capacity to get to yet. We rely a lot on our partners to bring that technology to us, which is why we partner with so many different organizations, colleges, universities, and such. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like in the realm of environmental conservation, recreation, tech is starting to get more integrated in. And how do you do that? I mean, we just have the live cell trail cams that we put in up at Mincy and some of our other parks, and we put digital photos up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of some other things, especially with it was around climate change. They looked at the different bird species that were going on, so the tagging that they did on birds and see where they were flying back and forth from. Deforestation, would they be able to get back to where they kind of lived? And would that deforestation area, if we put a road in, how did it separate those different species? There's a whole host of different things, but us as our staff, we just don't get into that as much. But we work with people that do.
That's good to know.
So we're working with professors and things like that. We get some little niches of how they do it. We look at their data and stuff, but we don't have the resources, time, just to kind of get into that kind of.
I got you. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. We will adjourn this Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting. And thank you so much again, Brian.
Thank you.